Ding dong, bing bong. Everyone can hear me all right? How is everybody doing? Sorry, haven't got the usual time today. Just thought I'd do a Q&A. Let's jump right into it. Howdy, chat. Sorry, all the usuals just posting. Another guy, Kimberly, Nulu, Tyler, I'll see you on the next one. Oh, Tyler, almost 2-year membership. And thank you for the $49. Goonie G. Yes. Young Ark says, Oy vey, I know you through Jord. Definitely a breath of fresh. You are definitely a breath of fresh air. Thank you, Young Arch. Remu. Good morning. You can feel my power, Desmond. Excellent. Howdy, Sarah. Oh, Outtuition was up, Philosopher Kangs. I can feel your power emanating from Australia. Thank you, Desmond. Thank you. PG, good evening. Adamu. Oh, damn. Didn't get the notif. Well, you're here now. So, for all of those of you who wants to know about it, I am going to be reading some questions from the Telegram. If you want to join the Telegram, it's a little bit of a, it's a bit of a shit show. Not gonna lie. You can find it on the Richard Ruack's Research Center, or it was, I think it's just TM, Advanced Esoteric. You can all find it in the links. But I'm kind of most active there, to my shame and detriment. But nonetheless, I'll probably also be looking for some new mods recently. I'm just looking through, trying to find the... Where's the... link to the chat? Oh, hello. This isn't the link to the chat. Okay. Just going to forward the chat link. Shimmity bamity. And then I'm also going to post the listing looking for new mods. This is a part of the reason why I'm looking for... Where is it? Oh my God. Sorry, hold up, everybody. If you want to become a mod, here we go. You have to go through the admin Q&A. And you have to basically answer these 10 questions. 1, Gnosticism based or cringe? 2, how often do you meditate? 3, what is meditation? 4, is sexual magic vital to the spiritual path? 5, what is theurgy? 6, Kabbalah, based or cringe? 7, is Plato esoteric? 8, what's your star sign? 9, how do you define the term black magic? And 10, which alchemical path is the best? So I'm just going to copy that. And I'm just going to post this in the Telegram. Boom. I'll make it a pinned comment as well. Ugh. Philosopher King asks, best beginner books for getting broadly acquainted with various magical systems. This is interesting. So there's a book I've read recently. I kind of wanted to talk about it. It's called like The Magic Door. It's by Mark Pantano. No, sorry. David Pantano. Sorry, David. But it's mainly on the Italic tradition, the Italians. But if you think about the Italians, they got a lot going for them. And that's actually, even though it's supposed to just be a broad intro to the Western, to the Italian tradition, it kind of just, it branches that, and it's actually really good just for general Western esoteric stuff. So I would recommend everyone check out The Magic Door by David Pantano. Have you read Second Coming of Christ by Yogananda? No. How you doing, Richard? You feeling better? Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. Mods are gods. More of an Asura based. Damn, those are good questions. They're right. I got banned from the Telegram for a meme I posted, then abusing the mod who gave me a warning. Yep, that happens. Now, you can also become a Gnostic Hierophant and get connected to the secret chat, which I haven't done much in because life has been a little hectic recently, but nonetheless, you can talk to me directly there. That's where, yeah, I'll definitely answer your questions if you get in there. But nonetheless, I asked a few days ago, when I made this booty call, and I was like, Q&A, everyone, leave some questions. Secret 11th question, what's the best slur? That's funny. That's very funny. Magic door. No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. That's not the one I'm thinking. Magic door pan. Computer lag. Pantano in my Fantano. Yeah. This one here, let me just screen share you guys. Application window. No. Magic door. This one. This author's also really good. Other than that, there's another book for the general of the Western esoteric tradition. It's that Julius Evola book. Full of spirituality. And this book's actually great. It's actually great. Oh, hello. What is going on? Sorry. Yeah, this book's really great because in this book, Evola is very sassy and he's quite funny. He's a good author. But this book is an act of negation, and he basically goes through and is like, this guy's a loser, this guy's a loser, theosophy, and he disses everyone. But then at the end, the final chapter, chapter 10, on high magic and initiation, he actually says, you know, because it's like, if you're going to diss even Rudolf Steiner, you're going to diss Jung, you're going to diss Krishnamurti, what's left? What do you consider initiation, Mr. Evola? And he tells you. And chapter 4, he basically goes through, what is it? Gurdjieff, Ramirez, and the Brotherhood of Miriam, Eliphas Levi, and like he basically talks about some guys that he likes, and he gives his kind of understanding of initiation. And I'm like, abased? Ring, ring, based department. So if you want something sexy, something sexual, you can consider those two books as a good place to look. But now, let's get into the meat and potatoes of those Telegram questions. So, the first one first from Sarah asks, well, Mr. Psychotronic Researcher, what kind of psychotronic research are we talking here? Psychotronic Researcher, one of the membership tiers for this YouTube channel. Become a member for only $2. But yeah, what research we're talking about? Remote viewing. That's what we're talking about. Mainly remote viewing, but the field of parapsychology is very, very pee-pee big. Yes, Sarah, it's you. Next, Rorok asks, how is baby formed? Basically, when Mummy and Daddy love each other very much, Mummy puts on a pig mask and Daddy gets some scuba gear, and then Daddy fits a special harness to the roof. And then Mummy gets in the harness. And they light some incense, and they pray to our Lord and Savior, Lucifer. And then in direct defiance of God, he places his erect phallus onto mummy's vagoo. After premature ejaculating, the baby is formed. And that's how it works. My wife... My wife wants to know your zodiac sign. I am an Aquarius sun with Aquarius rising, moon in Libra. So I'm a triple air sign. Then my Mercury is in Aquarius. So I'm completely insane. And then my Venus is in Capricorn. So basically I'm really cold and bad at relationships. Then my Mars is also in Capricorn. So you know I get stuff done. Which is funny because my Aquarius just kind of makes me think about random shit, like crazy shit. And the Capricorn's like, let's do that. Hence why I'm here in the magic scene. And then my Jupiter is like 1 or 2 degrees into Cancer. And I was like, motherfucker. Because if I was edging into Gemini, if my Jupiter was in Gemini, I'd have a grand trine and a grand air trine. I'd have Aquarius, Libra, and Gemini in my chart. And that would make a grand trine, and I would just be able to do evil maxing. But because of that Jupiter in Cancer, I'm now, unfortunately, I have emotions that hold me back. Morals and sentiments that stop me from being truly evil. And Saturn is also in Capricorn. So stellium in Capricorn, but it doesn't really do much once you've got 3 signs in Aquarius. So it is what it is. Something stork. Swear to God, she called you an Aquarius. Stop it. Aquarians rise up. Aquarian master race. My Mercury is at least in Capricorn, so I'm grounded in some degree. Jeez, Richard. Yeah. I know it. You know what's a surprisingly interesting combo is when you meet a Cap who has an Aquarius Mercury. That's always interesting as well. Because Caps can be elitist and also kind of cunty. But then when they have the Aquarius, the Mercury in Aquarius, they're also that's when they're cunty Capricorns, but they're into weird shit. And that's when it's like, hell yeah, let's sync up, dog. What do you mean? What does it mean if you're a Libra? Is it over? Yes. I'm sorry. How do I cure Sun in Cancer? Are you a man or a woman? If you're a woman, you're all good. Just have lots of sex all the time. If you're a man, I'm sorry, but it's time to change genders. You got to start taking some hormones. Testosterone. You got to go from male to alpha male. That's how it is. That's how it is. I don't make the rules. Now, next question. JF asks, best source books to learn about astrology. So, if I bring up the books now, let me get rid of that. Papus Inishi. Oh no, what is it? It's Papus Astrology. There are plenty of books that are probably better, that are probably, I don't know, more comprehensive, especially nowadays. But for its time, this book did really well. Like, this is solid overview if you're just getting into astrology. There's also like, it's not the For Dummies, but what are those book series where it's like in a nutshell or something? There was the astrology one, but they do like philosophers, like Immanuel Kant in a nutshell, and you're like, what? There's like an astrology one of that, and that one was also kind of good. But yeah, this was surprisingly good, and because he's an actual working occultist, he kind of keeps it as practical and as grounded. Not grounded is the wrong word, but nowadays people are just like, I'm an intuitional astrologer. And because you have Pisces in your Saturn, I can tell that you in your past life, and they do shit like that. And it's just like, bruh, get the fuck out of here. So because he's an actual occultist, it's good stuff. Papoose mentioned damn straight, because Papoose is actually based and chocolatey and French pilled. Higher Being Bodies by Oak de Boer. Have you read it? Yes, probably. And look, everyone has their shtick, and he does and writes in a way that a lot of fourth way people will be like, what is this? Disgusting. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Unless you read Beelzebub's Tales to his grandson and you go pure fourth way, you're not doing fourth way. So everyone else in those Bennett lineages and de Salzman lineages, look, fourth way is great, but in the end, you should branch out. You should branch out, do some maxing in some other regards. And I would say, because what he does is he went and learnt Raja Yoga, but he still does fourth way, and he's fourth way main, but with Raja Yoga side, but people are just like, oh, how dare you? They're like fourth way fundamentalists. It's like, bruh. So he has some, not hang-ups, but, you know, when I first started, I was into chakras. I made a video on some chakras ages ago, if you look through my catalog. But nowadays, I have some exceptions. I have a fucking rant about chakras. And, you know, he goes through chakras and tries to align them to the cylinders. And I was like, argh. But the thing is, whether you think it's silly or not, he himself engaged with Beelzebub's Tales. He himself engaged with the work. And he himself has some kind of results. And who else are you going to read? I mean, obviously you should read Gurdjieff, you know, dabble in Smospenski, but it's like, if you don't have a connection to a Gurdjieff group, what do? What's a boy to do? Dare a white boy have a little flow? So it's one of these things where it's like, that book is actually great. And I would actually say it's an underutilized and underrecommended, underappreciated fourth way book. Despite its I also read his second one because he's got that, and then he's got like, what's it called, like Two Being or something? Because the High Being Bodies book is like red, and then he's got another book that's like green and it's thinner. That one is good as well. That one's actually really good as well. I almost like that second one better because I think he talks about self-remembering in the second one. And you know, he's got his own way of explaining things. I explain self-remembering in a specific way, attached to a specific kind of way of seeing the human and the cosmology. And he explains it in his own way, and it's just like, they're good. He's good. There's you know, there's initiatic elements in there. There's genuinely useful things in there. And to just be like, oh, I wouldn't trust it if I were you. It's like, no, you're gay. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. You're gay is Ghey. Stop being a sissy boy. And read some High Being Bodies by Oak de Boer. He's a great guy. I don't think he's Dutch and weird, and I don't think he's done many interviews. There was one interview that was published on YouTube a while back, and he's very 2 feet on the ground. He was a part of the community at one point, went to the Fourth Way symposiums, and he's solid. He's really solid, I gotta say. I highly recommend that book. Obviously, if you want to do Fourth Way main, you got to read Beelzebub. There's no two ways around it. I wouldn't have said that years ago, but after reading Beelzebub's Tales, I'm like, yeah, unless you've read that, you're not a fourth way person. And I don't consider myself a fourth way practitioner at all. I'm like just generic Western esoteric tradition, but I definitely owe a lot to the fourth way. What's some basic beginner babies first esoteric books? Because I'm completely lost on most of this stuff, but I want to learn. So I used to have this book. I still have like top 10 beginner books on my channel. I should probably do another video like that and update the list somewhat. But because it's like, you know, Carlos Castaneda's first book has got some good stuff, you know. Got some Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism is great, and it's also good intro to Buddhism, because you should just know it for general knowledge. And you know, things like that. There's a book on Zen. There's a book on, you know, Hindu yoga. What is it? The Yogananda's book, Autobiography of a Yogi. Things like that are generally good for general esoteric stuff. But when it comes to the Western stuff, what do you read? And it's hard because I used to be like, Kybalion, gay. You should read The Dayspring of Youth. But now as years have gone by, I'm kind of like, I actually don't like The Dayspring of Youth as much. And the Kybalion is decent enough. It's just overread and overvalued. People are like, this is the book. And it's like, no. But it's fine and decent. You can read the Kybalion. But I would just say focus. I almost feel like just focus on two authors. And it's hard. What do you want? Do you want theory to kind of flesh out like what's going on here? Or do you want practices? Because some people are like, oh, I can't read enough. I have wall of text fatigue, bro. Just tell me what I need to do. And it's like, so there's two authors. If you just want to do something, read Franz Barton, because he's got practices coming out of his butthole. If you want more theory, but also something that's grounded and will have practice in it, Dion Fortune. Those two authors. So Franz Barton, start with Initiation into Hermetics. Dion Fortune, read what I call the Dion Fortune Quartet, which is like, there's a sane occultism is what it's published. It used to be called practical occultism, but it's published nowadays as sane occultism. So sane occultism, applied magic, secret orders in their work, and training and work of an initiate. There's these 4 books, and they're all 4 books. What? It's like they're all really short, like 100 pages, 200 pages max, and they're just so good. They're so good. Especially Secret Orders and its work, very underrated, and training work of an initiate. I don't know, not many people read that for some reason. That's awesome. That's solid, dog. She says good things in there. So that's how I approach that now. Alternative universe, Papoose saved the Russian Empire. Based, yes. So for people who don't know, you know how, what is it, Tsar Nicholas and Rasputin, that whole deal? You know how Rasputin was there because he was healing Alexandra with the kid. Whenever you listen to that story, they always talk about how doctors couldn't help. There was one doctor that kind of helped, but then had to go because the First World War broke out. That's Papoose. Papoose went to Russia, met Tsar Nicholas, initiated him into Martinism, and was actually helping the prince. But the First World War broke out, and he got summoned back to France. Well, he got summoned back to France because he had to, all the doctors basically, you go to the front lines and you help out. And so it's one of those things in an alternative timeline. And that's the whole reason why Rasputin was able to slide in, because once Papoose left, it's like, who's going to help Alexei? And then you got this big dick mystic just sliding into the DMs being like, hello. Well, he would have been like, what's the Russian version of hello? How do you say hello in Russian? Blet. Only astrology book you'll ever need is a mid book that I think I read first, was kind of feminine slanted, but which one? I'm doing the reverse. I breach out, and now I'm hanging on fourth way. 2 souls is 2 souls. What did I say? 2 beings? 2 souls. 2 souls was great. You should read that as well. But High Being Bodies I thought was really good, and I think more people should read it. Just finished Meeting with Remarkable Men based. Looking forward to getting on the next books. I want to read meetings on through live stream. I've been saving it. I want to read it through live stream, but I got to get through Manly PP first. So after Manly PP, we're gonna meet some remarkable men and touch their PPs. Greetings, Richard. When forming one's occult philosophy, have you applied the principles and practices documented in the Picatrix? So I got to read more of the Picatrix. The main thing that I would say is there's the higher genius thing. What is it? Book 3, something 6, chapter 6 or something. It's either book 3, chapter 6 or book 6, chapter 3. When they talk about the spell for the higher genius, and he Hermes Trismegistus, it's like the guy saying, my teacher Hermes Trismegistus taught me this, and that's very interesting. And I've got some breakdown about that, but I've talked about that before. But nonetheless, in that, I'll just mention it. He says he gives this ritual, but the ritual is symbolic. It's, you do this ritual and it sounds like a ritual you do, but then he's like, go deep into a hole into the ground, and you're like, what's going on? And it's like, as you're going down, winds will begin. It's like winds in a hole, huh? And it will blow out your lamp. And so you need to make a precious glass. And it's like, it's symbolic. It's go into the earth, i.e. go into yourself. And the winds are your thoughts, and the fire is your consciousness, which gets carried away by the wind. So you need the glass of the alchemist to reinforce it against the wind, so you can reach the depth. And then when it goes down to the depth, he talks about the 4 corners, and then the higher genius, in this, it's the perfect nature, he calls it in the book. That's very interesting. And there are other things in the Picatrix that are also symbolic spells like that, which I want to deep dive, get into one day. But this is a one day thing. It's a one day. I'm one man doing things all on my lonesome. So alas, I would love to get into it more, but bruh. Hey, Mormon esotericism, how can we make it happen? Are you on the Telegram? Because there's one guy who keeps on coming in and being like, bam, and like laying down some crazy Joseph Smith knowledge. But yeah, because Mormonism has this whole thing about God being a being and heaven being a place. It has a very interesting cosmology, which is almost Kabbalistic. But because it's also non-standard Christianity, it's almost a form of Gnosticism. Now, I don't know about the Gnostic Church as an institution. Sorry, Gnostic Church. I don't know about the Mormon Church as an institution. Institutions always are a little bit, to me. But definitely, I got to say, as an American Gnostic religion, and with that whole thing about Joseph Smith, they did them digging up and finding the talismans of Jupiter on him and connecting him to the... Turns out Joseph Smith was a big fan of Francis Barrett, who was an occultist that kind of synthesized the teachings of Heinrich Agrippa. So there's something to say about it. But going back, so it's this thing. Was people who are like, Joseph Smith, he was a fraud, and other people being like, Joseph Smith, no, everything he said was correct. That's a wrong binary. The truth is, Joseph Smith was a Western occultist who probably communicated with some angels and then was like, no one's going to believe this shit. I'll make up some story, make a mythology. And people have grasped onto that and they want it to be real. And some people want him to be a fraud. But actually, there may be something to his teachings. His teachings may have been gotten from some angels that he was in communication with. So there's something there. There's something there for the American Gnostic religion of Mormonism. But yeah, I would say you're going to have to study Agrippa and then go deep into, I don't know, some Egyptian Book of Breathing or whatever those Mormons talk about. But yeah, it's there. It's there. My friend was not one-shotted by the Kabbalion. My gift, and he passed the skill check. Based. Tomberg's magic. Actually, yes. But here's the thing. Once you read Tomberg, nothing else is good. Nothing else is good. Tomberg destroys. Alchemist is an introductory step into the yeah. It's a bit too kindergarten. It's a great book. But it's like, I know, it's Deepak Chopra level. I read it. It was good. Loved it. I didn't know you made a video on it. Thank you, twin. I love you too. No, the one book is called Only Astrology. Oh, that's the actual book? Okay. Hello. Dion Fortune has popping into my mind this week. Maybe a sign to read something. What's a good fortune book to start with? Saint Occultism. It's great. Saint Occultism is great. Hello, brother. We need to talk etymology and Gurdjieff, particularly Tescuano. Okay. And Antcuano. What do you think Tescuano? Oh, that's the Tescuano is the looking tubes. What do you think about his etymology? What about it goons you? Hot take, but if you're interested in the occult, you should pick one day where you stay in solitude and silence and watch spooky happening instead of reading beginner book first. Yeah. The problem is are they going to do it? Are they going to do that? And Joseph Smith studied Kabbalah. I would compare Mormonism's relationship to Christianity with Gnostic Christianity. Yeah. I would believe it. He was an astral magician, probably used the Picatrix. I don't know about Picatrix, but he definitely had some, because of Francis Barrett and the Jupiter talismans are a giveaway. He definitely had some connections. Are you aware of Gordon White? Of the death of Gordon White of Rune Soup? And he died in South America. No one knows how he died, but yeah, everyone was talking about it. Sad face. I saw the live stream that commemorative live stream that Miguel Aeon Byte did. If you want to start out, read Hatha Yoga. It will provide both insight and strength to pranayama. Yeah, sure. Look, and the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, I recommend people to read. It's always good. And yes, I use the term. You're that guy. You're the guy. You're the Mormon guy. Welcome to the live stream. Thoughts on John D? You can nibble on D's nuts. That's what I think about John D. Now, next question from the Telegram. Dr. Longo, something, no. There's one guy who is the emoji of the Easter Island face. And he says, why do you hate John de Salzman? Why do I hate Jean de Salzman? I don't hate Jean de Salzman. It's just that book, Reality of Being. I hate the way it's written. Her prose rubs me the wrong way. And it's not that it's because it's like I read it and I understand it, but I only understand it because I've read other fourth way literature that I can tease out what she's saying. If that was the first fourth way book I ever read, I'd be utterly confused. It's like needlessly wanky. And I'm like, why are you like this, Mrs. Salzman? Why are you doing this? Why? Why? And so that's why I hate Gene de Salzman. It may be a necessary book to read at one point. And the only reason I started reading it was because Oak de Boer recommended it. But yeah, do you have experience with 3 modes of projection: etheric projection, astral projection, causal projection? I've experienced with astral projection. People talk about this. I don't know about this. I don't know, but here's the thing. I'm with Dean Radin about when talking about faculties. Because here's the thing. People want to be like clairaudience, clairvoyance, astral projection, etheric projection. And it's like, how do you know what's what? And what's what? And what's what? Here's the thing. The human is a system. Data or information goes in or comes out. And when it goes in, it impacts the senses and it gets represented in a specific way. So I would actually, because there's this thing of like people being like, yeah, and this technique will awaken clairvoyance, whereas this technique will awaken clairaudience, and they're 2 completely different things. And people really want to make hard categories. And the more and longer I stay in, the more I actually believe the hard categories don't exist. And all it is data comes in, and sure, there can be some kind of sensory data, but there's also a kind of psychic, ontological, metaphysical thing that hits you, and it doesn't hit the physical senses, it hits another type of sense. But because the physical senses are so, large, we mainly use those, we only notice the bigger stuff. But as you make yourself more subtle, as you close your eyes and introspect, we can pick up on these subtler impressions. We can pick up on the subtle. And the thing is, when we get data from the subtle, how it's represented is completely arbitrary to our tendencies. Some people may be more visual and some people may be more auditory. The people who are more visual, it will appear to them as colors first, and then maybe they'll take forms, and then visions will begin. Some people may be more auditory. They'll hear sounds or a whisper or music. Some people, it may be somatic. Some people, it may not even be that. It's like it doesn't even come. It comes in as some kind of apophatic intuition where all of a sudden just their mind illuminates and they have knowledge and they're like, whoa, I get it now. Something clicks and they just get things now. How you receive data, what people call clairvoyance is actually just a complete tendency. It's just a tendency. Data either comes in or it goes out into the human system. And so if you get good at projecting data, you can astrally project, and we call it astral, and it's this hard category, and there's the hard category called etheric projection, and it's different from, and people get so committed to this shit. And it's like, the more I kind of say, I'm like, I don't think it's like that. And there's mental projection, and mental projection is different from astral projection. I don't think it's like that, actually. I think the human system is a system, and data either goes out or it comes in. And when it comes, and maybe people are more of a mix, like sometimes for you it'll be auditory, sometimes it'll be visual, but some people may have hard tendencies and they just are more visual. And so whenever they do working, it's like clairvoyance or it's like a clairaudience or something like that. But fundamentally, as you awaken your consciousness, as it expands and it breaches these barriers or it becomes more sensitive, things should clarify. And in fact, it's almost like a Franz Baden thing. All of those senses are extended in unison. And so eventually it's like, everything. It's like a second nature. It's like a second life. That's how I kind of see things. So that was Bush Whisperer asking about astral projection and causal projection. And I'm like, this is one of those questions where I deny your categories. Realize you're a grand researcher. I don't know about that. Let me back up, give context. I'm sorry, this question is so long. Oh my God. Travels hence about talking about occult mysticism. Okay, wait, hold up. Let me give it a read. Let me give it a read. I have all of text fatigue, okay? Let me, as one born of Shanaha Irish bloodline, with fathers, both parents having latency, my father and my mother and her grandmother too, I was an unusual teen. Bro, you're giving your life story here. I really want to respect this, but this is a live stream and I need to shit post. I'm going to go on to the next question. Denise the Red One. So even as the Buddha liberates all beings, no being is liberated. Why is that? Because this is the fucking thing about Buddhist ontology. There are no beings. They deny essence. Everything is dependent. Nothing is interdependent in and of itself. There is not an eternal thing you find. You only build things and then become kind of addicted to them in a sense. So with Buddha, and this is the thing, it's a process ontology. In Buddhism, things don't exist, processes exist. Think of the rainbow. So this is when people are like, oh, everything's illusory, Buddhism, and they fall into a weird nihilism. It's like, no, that's not necessarily what the Buddhists are saying. Does a rainbow exist? You can't touch it. You can't hold it in your hand, but you see it. It's a thing in the world. I can see it, and someone standing next to me can also see the rainbow, and we can agree on the colors on the rainbow. So it has a type of existence, but what is a rainbow? Light, the process of light and the process of water interconnect, and out of those two processes overlaying and interacting with each other, a rainbow arises. That's what reality is to a Buddhist. There are things, and maybe the things are also empty, because this then furthers their ontology. There are things like the skandhas, and there are there are sections. People think Buddhism is one thing. There are other sects of Buddhism that start to creep into something almost like Platonic forms, and then and then other Buddhist sects will just yell them down. Because there's this whole thing about they are so autistic about not falling into eternalism that they will almost via negativa and negate themselves into a nihilism. But it's not a nihilism and it's not an eternalism. It's literally a secret third thing. And because of that, it's this what Christians do with their theology, where they get really scholastically autistic and they're like, oh yes, God is a trinity. And a trinity like water. Water is one thing, but water can be in a different state, like a liquid and a solid and a gas. And that's like the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And people are like, no, that's modalism. That's a heresy. And then there's all these little things where if you try to explain the Trinity, I guarantee you that's a specific heresy at one point. And they're just so autistic about it. It's insane. You think the Buddhists have clarity? No. Go read the freaking Buddhist debates of Buddhists, different Buddhists in different eras, just yelling each other down and being like, you're possessed by a demon. And it's just they're the same shit, man. They have so autistic, they're completely autistic against eternalism that they're doing this via negativa where something is, but they must never name it. They will not say it is, they won't say it isn't, they won't say it's both, and they won't say it's neither. It's not that it is, it's not that it isn't, it's not that it's both, and it's not that it's neither. All four directions are negated. They don't want a label. They don't want any label. But fundamentally, how it is there is something. Why? Because what's enlightenment? Let's go back to the Buddha Sutras. What's enlightenment? Enlightenment is when you get out of the skandhas. The term used is you turn away from the skandhas. Quick question. What's doing the turning? Oh, Buddhists don't believe in the soul. Buddhists don't believe in the soul. Do Buddhists believe in reincarnation? What's the thing that goes from life to life to life? So when you ask a question about, they talk about the Buddha liberating beings, but then at the end, no beings are liberated. Yeah, because that's a fucking game of fucking language. Because it's the thing of, oh, there is no inherent essence or nature. Okay, how does karma exist then? If you don't exist, then what's the karma that's sticking to you that goes from life to life to life? There wouldn't be anything to stick to. So karma wouldn't link to your soul because there would be no soul to link to. That would go. So the karma via itself is negated via higher forms of Buddhism. Anyway, but the Buddhists will, and this is the thing of like, then there's this whole thing with the Buddhists where they go, oh, there's actually 3 teachings. Literally, there are 3 levels of teachings built into Buddhism where it's like, what do they call it? And this is where I'm an outsider. I'm an outsider looking into Buddhism. So please, Buddhists in the chat, help me out here. What are the 3 teachings? It's like there's the minor truth, and then there's the teachings of like 2 truths. There's like we give the truth a little bit, but it's like then there's the full truth, and they're different, and in different levels. You talk about karma at one level because it's good. At one level, you need to be moral. You should have karma yoga. You know, do your daily dues. But then, on another level, karma, the concept of karma completely fucking collapses. And on higher, like if you read Nagarjuna is like, yeah, karma, gay. And like he completely negates the concept of karma. And so that's Miss Denise the Red One. Even as the Buddha liberates all beings, no beings are liberated. Yeah, exactly. You have to understand at higher levels, Buddhism ain't all about compassion. At higher levels, it gets massively autistic, and some of that shit starts to kind of make sense in essence of there's this weird negate. So in the West, we call it via negativa, and this is, they talk about God without talking about God. So instead of attributing things to God, like God is all powerful, they'll say nothing is more powerful than God, or God is unlimited. So they'll use negated stances or negation. God cannot be bound instead of saying he's boundless. They'll use negation to describe something. It's almost like the Buddhists are doing via negativa to the extreme, and they just, until you negate everything, and then the mind itself is negated, and then consciousness just sees what is. But if you have that experience, and then you label if you start talking about the Tao, then you're then labeling it, and the act of labeling it ruins the thing. So it's like this constant autistic negation while still pointing at the direction. But as soon as someone like tries to like speak about it, it's like, oh! And I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I honestly don't know. Let me see. We got people in the Telegram chat now talking about it. Yes, and so 21CN replies to Denise's question and says, at a certain point, they're even beings to begin with. Yeah, that's the fucking problem you run into when you go high enough in Buddhism. What is the purpose of cultivating compassion? Lucien Caron says, what's the purpose in cultivating compassion? I think cultivating compassion is good, because if you, specifically in Buddhism, because if you get to a high enough abstract level, there is the nihilism problem. Because if you're negating eternalism, and even if you're leaving the world behind, let's say you're a Western Gnostic and you're like, we got to get out of here, guys. What act are you doing that? You're doing that act out of what? An act of fear? An act of, I want truth. Why do you want truth? Is it a love of truth? Compassion, love. Compassion is a good anchor point, because there is, and I'm not saying it's like, oh, if you're not compassionate, you're gonna get psyoped into your character is gonna get nuked and become like a freaking absolute evil or something. There is a certain grounding, a certain, why are you doing this? And a certain, in a sense, even if there is something that's you that's eternal, or if there's something that's you that's not eternal, then everything's interdependent. Well, if everything's dependent on itself, then you're connected to everything. And so realizing the interconnectedness, or if you're Christian, if you're more in the Western system, oh, I have an eternal essence. But that just means there are other eternal essences that are also traps like me. Having compassion is a kind of a grounding and a connecting thing. In esotericism, it's a connection. You're able to connect esoterically. It's a thing about being connected, because pride is anti-connection. And that's the problem with pride. It's not Lucifer had pride. The problem with pride is pride fucks you up, because pride's also the thing that cucks you. You know, the guy who thinks he knows everything can't learn anything new. And it's this thing of, you may not even realize that you missed a chance to learn something. It's like you don't know what you don't know. And so it's this thing of like, pride can really, really cuck you. And I'm talking about pride in the capacity that it disconnects you from other people. I'm not going to learn from this guy. I've been in the company longer than him. And then you don't take the advice, and then you don't move forward, and then you miss your promotion, you know, that kind of thing. And it's like, you know, or you're in a sports gym. It's like, I've been in longer. I don't need to listen to this guy. And it's like, and then you don't perform as well. You don't get on the team. Pride disconnects you. Pride on a higher level disconnects you. Compassion connects you. And you need kind of that interconnectivity, because unless you want to go pure ascetic, in the end, even if you are an ascetic, who says ascetics aren't working with gods or, you know, something in the absolute, beings, angels, things that connect you, becoming connected, interconnected with higher realities. That's the magical path. That's the transcendental path. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so compassion has a kind of importance there. And people are just talking about that in the chat. David AB Esoteric Bear asks, what's the relationship between dabbling in the occult and insanity? What's the line between being schizophrenia and having a conversation with your holy guardian angel, or anything else for that matter? So here's the thing. To answer this question seriously, what's the difference between schizophrenia and occultism? Let's go over what schizophrenia actually is. Well, more to the point of, what happens when people go off the deep end in esoteric schools? Usually they go off the deep end, and they go off the deep end in a specific way. And that deep end is, I am Jesus, is when they start believing they're an ascended master. And why does that happen? So people who have schizophrenia and people who have certain delusional fantasies, there is a part of the brain that releases kind of, would you say energy, dope? Not sure if dopamine, maybe even oxytocin. But it's like when you have a realization, you go, when something profound happens, a part of your brain lights up. You know, when you're like playing Sudoku and you're like, you're just missing a number, and you're like, and you're just looking at it, and then something clicks, and you're like, there's the 4. And then you just unlock it. That kind of, a part of your brain lights up when you go, There is a type of person, a type of actual mental condition where that part of the brain will light up randomly. So you'll be watching the news, and then all of a sudden within you, the feeling that you get from connecting things together, that something profound is happening, will just light up in your mind. And you'll just be watching the news, and you'll be like, oh my God, of course. And it's like, it's all connected. Iran, Epstein. The news anchor, they're actually speaking in coded messages. Are you getting this? They're speaking coded messages. They're speaking to me. And this is the thing. People will get into numerology. People will start reading the Bible and decoding the Bible. And where there's nothing, that profound thing will enlighten. And they'll just force something to be there. And it will just be profound for them. And sometimes, if they're charismatic enough, their charisma can carry other people along with them. And this is what I see, where there's a lot of problems in the occult and Western esoteric schools, is when someone has real practices and that happens. Because when there's real practices, they may actually touch something That's legitimate. They may even have legitimate experiences or even develop themselves and awaken even some faculties. But then when the delusion comes, truth and delusion mix together. And when false and truth mix together, something amazing happens. Because when things are false, when things are delusional, they're spicy. And truth is often dry. So the falsehood actually spices up and jazzes the truth and makes it attractive. But then the truth also supports and is also this iron. This is something you can't deny. It's the truth. And actually props up falsehood and lies. And when you get this thing that's mixed, that's when you get trouble. And that's a lot of the problem in a lot of the Western esoteric traditions, where someone has real teachings and real practices, applies them, awakens a little bit, but then goes a little fucking delusional. And you see this in the East and the West. You see this in the East with people doing real meditation techniques and then being like, I am an arhat. And they're not. And in a way that can inspire some people, because like, that guy became an arhat? Oh, maybe I can. It's like, that guy met Jesus in the astral? Maybe I can. And it inspires them to work. But those people will always limit you at a certain point, because they can never, once you commit to the delusion, you can never go beyond it. And you need to pity these people, because fundamentally, they're trapped. They're completely in a state of stagnation. Now, anyway, I ranted there for a second. And Scouse, thank you for, oh, hello. Let me just scroll down. Sorry, people are going off in the YouTube channel. There's even people joining from Facebook stream. Scouse, thank you for the £5. Thoughts on Theotokos, apparent Mary worship in Catholicism? I've had Catholics tell me Mary is essential for salvation. That's interesting. I am partial to it. And I'm partial to it because Mary should be respected. I don't like this Protestant thing where they're all like, oh, I've met so many Protestants that are just like, oh, me, I'm a Christian. And then you ask them and like, I'm just non-denom. And then you say, oh, what about Catholics? Catholics worship Mary. And it's like, bruh, calm it down, man. Mary should be respected. If you are actually going into mainline Christianity, and Jesus is like literally God incarnate, then it's like, Mary is kind of a profound character then, and should have some kind of respect. And when you pray to saints, and therefore the Mary, the Mother of God, you're not worshipping them. Because, and this is the thing about worship, people have this, when I have a cross, I'm holding a cross here, and it's not one with Jesus on it, it's just literally 2 sticks. Am I worshipping sticks? When I pray to this cross, am I worshipping wood? Or are these 2 sticks overlaid, making a cross? Is that a sign that indicates to something else? Am I worshipping sticks? Or am I realizing that the sticks are a sign that's indicating, pointing, leading to something else? Orthodox and Catholics don't worship saints or Mary. Okay? Mr. Non-denom. These people are mystics who should be respected. And in the case of Mary, something quite profound. And a profound event, if that's your doctrine, at the very least, should be considered. But they're not worshiping them. But this is something that then leads to something else. What? To Jesus. Oh, you're a non Protestant. Do you worship apostles? No, but the apostles can lead you to the Christ, and then Christ can lead you to God, blah, 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 and then grace is then the mechanism that allows your faith to lead you to salvation or some bullshit, whatever. That's my shtick with that. Now, thank you for the $5. Let's get back to the Telegram questions. I'll get through all of them, and then I'll re-engage with the YouTube chat. Unless you're really desperate in the chat, you can leave a super chat. If you make a super chat, I'll definitely get to this, because we're getting to an hour mark, so I need to get through the Telegram questions before we log out. No. Jay Nile from the Telegram asks, would you ever be willing to dive into Mormon essence? Is this you, Jackson? Are you Jay Nile from the chat? And Mormon esotericism, metaphysics, substance? Actually, you know what? If it's substance monism, I have problems. I have problems with pantheism and Vedantic and some here's the thing. I agree with non-dualism, but non-dualism can only be reached through dualism. Dualism is a ladder. Because the truth is non-dual. You haven't understood properly. My guy. You don't live in the absolute. You live here in the shit. You don't live in a completely flattened reality. There are beings, and those beings cast shadows. Evil exists, and the only way to not make evil exist would be to destroy all beings so no shadows can be cast. In a total absolute sense, I agree. Non-dualism is true, but we're not in the absolute, and dualism is a ladder that you actually need to go to get to something. So I have problems with monism, but sure. Call the collab. Monism by C.S. Stone. Look. Okay. We'll set up some kind of interview. Maybe I'll interview. We'll do it. We'll do it on the Esoteric Mormonism train interview one day. Let's lock that in for a time. DM me. And if you guys do DM me on socials, on Twitter or Telegram, I'm sorry if I don't get back to you. I know there's one guy who's like, hey, want to chat? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then he was like, cool. And then I just haven't gotten back to him. Especially at the moment, the next coming months, I'm really freaking busy. Maybe past August, I'll be a little more settled down. But yeah, I'm sorry if I don't get back to you in the DMs, everybody. Now, back to Telegram chat. Someone posted a YouTube short of H3H3, but I'm not going to open it, and I don't care. And oh, that looks like all of them. Big booty. Wait, will there be big booty Latinas in space heaven? Yes, there will be big booty Latinas in space heaven. Now, okay, time to go through the YouTube chat now. I find myself saying the word Askokan sometimes. I know, right? I feel that. Smith used the Magus. Joseph Smith used the Magus in other texts most likely and got more women than John D. Based. Gurdjieff's telescope. Oh, you're doing the ant against counter. Huh. Interesting. His telescope, which allowed him to see 7 million times magnification, was his witness associates. That's such a good interpretation. Bro, that's a great interpretation. I really like that. Have you found the thing that Luisis and Sakaki, because I've heard some people be like, that's street slang in like other languages for like Sakaki is a pile of shit and less than shit or something, and then Luisos is like less than a toilet or something like that. Because those are the two archangels that fuck up humanity with the Kunda buffer organ, and they're Sakaki and Luisos. And it's like Sakaki is like pile of shit and Luisos is less than a toilet, and it's like their names are street slang or something. And I'm like, is that accurate? Because I've heard other people do different interpretations, but when I heard that, I was like, dude, that's so fucking Gurdjieff. That's so fucking Gurdjieff. I want that to be true. His process for perfecting objective reason and Kuano, which we are no longer capable of doing. I thought it was, what do you call it? Bruh, how do I find this? Bro. It's not that, it's hold on. This isn't what I'm looking for. Oh fuck, not Glorian. Where's the Beelzebub? There it is. Spiritual Sun. Neologisms. Come on, load. How do you pronounce this? And he says it literally only once. This is Iesirinorasnian. Iesiriturasnian contemplation. This is the thing that humans can no longer do, but if you're able to do it, you can crystallize higher being bodies and gain objective consciousness. That's what I remember. What's Ant Kuanu? Let me just see. Is it in the neologisms? Did I go past it? There it is. Let's go. Possibly now in your presence, they're already beginning to be crystallized. The data for engendering always in corresponding cases of being impulse of indubitable. Wait, have I got it? Is it still up for you guys? Oh, whoops. That would have. Sorry, let me just show you guys again. That may not have been up. Yeah, sorry, I'm just flicking through tabs. Not sure if that came up before. Aesiritorasnian and the sacred cosmic substances required for coating of the highest being body. Or maybe you just need this for coating the causal body. But then what you're saying is we need this, which is possibly now in your presence, also there already being crystallized data for engendering always in corresponding cases of being impulse indubitable. This fact, thanks only to learned beings of new formation there, in whomst there has already been implanted, mentioned particularly, namely of not Jesus fucking. It's been a while. You forget what reading Beelzebub is like, and then you read just a freaking paragraph. Just a sentence brings back the PTSD. Oh my God! Not failing to peck to death every colleague of theirs who does not do the same, as has already been fixed by the abnormally established conditions of ordinary being existence. Am I frozen, by the way? No, I'm not frozen. Yeah, no, I'm all good. Sorry. Just tripping out because of YouTube Studios. About the essence-loving hope of his, I chanced to learn during my investigations his concerning his very saintly activities. Saw chapter 32. You, my boy, perhaps still do not know in what, namely the cosmic process. And then with the process perfecting. Okay, so you perfect objective reason, and then Aesiriturasnian contemplation can perfect the highest being body. Those two must be connected somehow. And it's more leading that he made that name. And I know you may be thinking, oh, but that was only one, and this has got a whole bunch. But it's like the fact that he only used it once is almost more profound and more telling. I want to say three-centered beings. Oh, which process proceeds by itself, simply from the flow of time. Okay, no. As a rule, so when the sacred Ant Kuanu was present, objective being reason would crystallize in three-brained beings just automatically as time went by, but it doesn't anymore. As a rule, everywhere on those planets of the great universe, upon three-brained beings, sacred Ant Kuanu could only... Interesting. Anyway, which they're no longer capable of doing. Okay. So we need to go against our associates. Basically, you just need to look at the news and be like, everyone's wrong except for me. You need that. We need that in our lives. Gooning is meditation, but with your pencil. Only if you're a chaos magician. Wasn't there an incident of a theosophist who summoned spirits using the mags at a party? Really? That's cool. I haven't heard that. Gurdjieff was talking about starting not a cult, but a religion, a real one based on objective reason. He left clues in etymology of his words. Interesting. Interesting. What? Thoughts on the parasite demon connection? There was a guy. Wait, parasite, you mean like actual parasites? Or like demons being kind of astral parasites? There's a guy, a psychologist, I can't remember his name. I remember posting the interview he did, but he's basically was a psychologist that was like, he did works with like crazy people, actual schizophrenics. He was an actual clinical psychologist in or psychotherapist in some institution. And his story was he would talk to crazy people like, people who would be like, I'm Jesus Christ. And he said one thing that he found funny was he was like, first, when you're learning, they would tell you, make sure you don't negate the other person's delusions or it can like lead them to some kind of stress. And in the first center he went to work for, there were two guys who believed they were Jesus. And he put them in the same room together. And one of them was like, I'm Christ, come again. And the other one was like, but I'm Jesus, come again. And the other guy was like, okay. And they were just like cool with each other. They were both delusional Jesuses. And he just looked at that and went, oh, well, that's my book learning out the window. But basically he got really into like studying these guys, and he actually made friends with a lot of them and would talk to them and would ask them, oh, you hear voices in your head? And he basically said, none of my other associates did this, but I was like, okay, what are the voices saying? And basically he kind of wrote down, and there's always like this set of questions or these set of like things, impulses that the voices always try to get people to do. And he basically came to the thing of like, look, here's the thing. We think these are mental delusions or hallucinations. If something is a hallucination, it's completely random. But what I was seeing when I was asking, what are the voices telling you? Oh, they're telling me this. And then he'd interview another person and be like, what are the voices telling you? Oh, they're telling me this. And it's the same as the last guy. And he's like, a pattern began to emerge. If there's a pattern, then it's not random. Because if it's a pattern, then there's structure, then there's something behind it. And he basically went from being a psychologist to being like, no, demons are real. And when people hear voices in their head, it's like actual like psychic parasites. And that was his whole shtick. And I was like, this is making my pee-pee throb. And I didn't keep up looking with his stuff, but I just remember that one interview. I watched it ages ago. I got to like go through I put it in the Telegram ages ago, but it would be like lost up in the history. If anyone can remember that guy. And he had some like Polish name, so it's not an easy name to remember. It was like, first name, whatever, Dave, but then it was like Slavinsky with like 5 Q's and V's and K's and a J, ending in a J. And it's like, whatever. But anyway, that's what I think about that. Have you heard about the ancient secret of the flower of life? I don't like Druvalim Melchizedek. I'm just going to leave that there. Hot take, but I truly believe in order to be proficient at magical working, yes, based, you need to develop your clairvoyance, start with the basics of sensing and such before you do rituals and such. Yep, you do need to make yourself more subtle. Definitely. Boo dust, more like do hust. Am I right, guys? In Martinism, you become a mystic before becoming a magician. Interesting. In the Golden Dawn, it's the other way around. It's up to your preference. Dion Fortune speaks of this. Read Secret Orders in their work. There is a difference between what is real and tangible and the actual Yes. Is this where I was talking about Buddhism? I went off on a huge Buddha rant. When I was 5, I floated down the stairs and flew up the stairs, then repeated. Interesting. I would also float up to the ceiling and push off it and bounce up and down. I wondered if it was an OBE or astral projection. Maybe it is unimportant to label. I do think kids leave the body more easily, and the stairs thing happens to many. Yeah. When starting to become more embodied. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Sounds very interesting. Placebo is real, tangible, an actual effect manifested by the will of the mind. Yes. Yes. I just got finished talking to Ike, by the way. Video coming soon. By soon, I mean when I get to it. That's modalism, Patrick. Yes. So that was when I was freaking ranting about heresies. Buddhism, but make it happy science with Ryu Okawa. Mormonism, fortunately, doesn't get that autistic because it's non-systemic. Yeah. And that, in a way, may actually be proper. Well, hold on a second. Bisexual? Mormonism, fortunately, doesn't get that autistic because it's a non-systematic theology. Joseph Smith was bisexual? Who was the dude? Did he bum boys? Is that a thing? Anyway, Wittgenstein language games was on my exam last week. Interesting. Is autism and its recognition in today's society just the human archetypes being widely exaggerated due to pathological modern practices and removing the situation where people have more choice in how to use their brain and body in a way that benefits them and society as their way of perception? Can be utilized for good and right situation? Possibly. Look, here's the thing about autism. That's a big question, so I'm just going to make it go down so you can see my face when I speak. Here's the thing about autism and all neurodivergence. When people first started studying neurodivergence, they thought there's a proper way that the mind works, and then these improper ways are just random wires crossing, and it just is garbled. Then they did these tests, and in these tests, what they would do is they would have 3 control groups. Control group of normal people, normal divergent, non-neurodivergent people. Then they would have a mixture of normies and neurodivergent people. And the third group would just be purely autists. And what they would do in these test groups is they do Chinese whispers. They give some people some information, and then you have to whisper it and pass it on to the next person. And at the end, there would be a rankings on how much information, data was lost, basically. And what the outcome was in the first group of normal people, they would Chinese whispers, and most of the time, a majority of the data would get through. You know, some data would be lost, but the majority of the data would get through. In the group where it was a mixture of neurodivergent people and non-neurodivergent people, and you have to explain this data to a person, and that person has to explain to another person, complete cluster F. Data was lost left and right, didn't work out. But here's the thing. In the third control group of just pure autists, of neurodivergent people, and just autists, no data was lost. So it's not that there's a correct way of thinking, and then these other, it's just wires crossed randomly. No. There's 2 completely different structures, and autism is an actual structure. And if you're autistic, you can understand other autists. So it's not like, you're just discombobulated. It's like, no. You literally have a different way of seeing the world. And truly what should happen is people should, the ideal would be not to move from one and get stuck, like, I'm neurodivergent and I need to make myself normal. It would be the ability to switch between different modes, because then you could use different mental modes as tools for looking into creation, for acting in the world. So in some cases, autism, it's problematic. In other cases, Maybe you need to activate and weaponize your autism to get some things done. And then there's other neurodivergence. So like ADHD people that's a different spiciness. Some people are neurospicy, some people are neurosparkly, as the women on Instagram tell me. So I would say like Germans are like just autistic by nature. But that's fantastic. And then there are other people who are ADHD, then like, Latin America, it's just ADHD by their nature. And that's also good because the human race, the different races are like musical notes. And if you're able to have a harmony and have them working together, you can make something beautiful. With our powers combined, something Captain Planet, Vajrayana gets wild when the lights are off. Exactly. Big man James. Will something happen, Chudder? Nothing ever happens. The Tao is over 50. That's funny. That's funny. Listening to the Monroe tapes can accelerate cities. I've heard some things. Look to the Japanese military in World War II to show where Zen can get out of hand. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. And then to defend this a little bit, what is real compassion? Compassion isn't your grandma's compassion. If a drunk on the side of this, if there's a drunk and he's ruining his life through drinking, what's the most compassionate thing? It would be to take away his alcohol. But he would look at you like a tyrant. So true compassion is outside of good and evil. You can look like a tyrant to someone, but actually, Eren Yeager did nothing wrong. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. Buddhism and Gnosticism didn't appeal to me because of the pouring out of one's personality. Christ says, all who came before me were robbers, in reference to that. Interesting. Interesting. What I do like in those systems is the recognition of the materialistic illusion, of course. Materialism, gay. Destroy all, total materialist death. That's one thing we can all get behind. This, not this, both this and not this. Everything negated, baby. I like Dante's hierarchy of purgatory. It's a good example of structuring the initiation process in oneself for the purpose of overcoming pride and lust. Yes. And I would actually say everyone who likes the divine infernos, you're missing out. Because I don't know, I enjoyed Paradiso as well, but Purgatorio is so good. Purgatory was my favorite. Things get a little crazy and ultra symbolic when he gets into the garden, the heavenly garden, the paradise. And there's some weird chapters. Like, I think chapter 20, Canto 27 is the last canto where Virgil speaks, and it's Canto 29 when Dante notices him missing. And then Beatrice takes over, and then there's this weird parade that happens, and there's a chariot, and there are all these like women, and some of them have green skin and red skin, and there's kings come, and then like the chariot opens up and a dragon comes out. Shit was weird. Shit gets weird. But the different levels of purgatory, it's like people working towards something. It's not like in hell and they're just stuck there forever. It's like they're living through punishment, but they're actually working. They're doing something. Like the people in who suffered from envy in life, they have to wear like cloaks made of lead, so they're like kind of falling over, but they have each other, and so they can then lean on each other to prop each other upwards, and they're all singing hymns together, and it kind of has this like there's this purification, there's this work that they're doing. It's really good. Purgatory is really good, and there's some cool things in it. There's some cool kind of like theology. There's some cool kind of cosmology in Purgatory as well, which I won't spoil. And also some cool symbolism, like when he comes up to the gates of Purgatory and there's like an angel on 3 steps, and one step is black, one step's red. Black, white, and red. The steps are colored with the alchemical colors. And the angel is there, and he can't see his face because there's too much light. And the angel like inscribes the P's. He has like 7 P's inscribed onto his head. It's interesting. I really enjoyed Purgatory. The brain of modern society. Schizophrenic and tribal society would be considered shaman. I know there's people who say that, but I am actually a little bit against the the madman is just someone who drowns where the mystic swims. It's like, there's a romanticism to have, like, that some people have about crazy people who are genuinely sick. And it's like, I don't like to romanticize that. I think there's a problem there. But I get why people do it. That's the Stopinder. They just don't have the correct shock. Who are your top 3 to 5 intellectual influences, the primary figures that have influenced your worldview? Gurdjieff, Julia Savola, Valentine Tomberg, and Giorgiani. They're my tops. They're my sloppy toppies, by far. By far. I'm trying to think, do I have a fifth? If I had, that's my Mount Rushmore, shall we say. That's four names. Four names. Jacob Mendez asks, Dick Ruach. Maybe a bit of an off-kilter question, but thoughts on Joe Dispenza? I know he's a charlatan personality, but so I haven't read Joe Dispenza's work, but he just seems to be aligned with those other kind of people where it's like, and I use this respectfully. It's kindergarten stuff, but it's people. There are people who need to go through kindergarten, like, you know, Deepak Chopra. I know nowadays it's like, oh, he was in the Epstein files, but it's like, look, Deepak Chopra, what is he doing? He's kindergarten. But let's be honest, Deepak Chopra is recycling the Vedas. Is Cheryl, who was a materialistic lady her entire life, and then she got to like 40, had a midlife crisis because like young men don't look at her the same way anymore, and now she's in her 50s and she's kind of breaking apart, and then she, you know, looks up, types spirituality online and looks up some Deepak Chopra and gets really into it, and then she's like, oh my God, I did a spiritual retreat in Bali, and she's telling all of her friends, and there's this guy, he's called Deepak Chopra, and he invented these things called chakras. Cheryl was never going to read the Vedas. But thanks to Deepak Chopra, she has something. And so there is a place for people like Joe Dispenza, and he may even have some good things. But there's always a limit to those things. So it's like, you know, Stuart Wilde, friggin' Joe Dispenza. I think I've watched one YouTube video and I was like, yeah, cool. It's like with those kind of people, it would be pointless to hate on, because it would be like a nuclear physicist looking at the work of a high school like math teacher and being like, this fucking guy doesn't know math. It's like, yeah, he's teaching high school maths, bro. Leave him alone. Are you a perennialist? I dabble. I've got some problems with hardline perennialism, but I wouldn't call myself a pure like pluralist. So I call myself a kind of a soft perennialist, because I always come back. There is people be like, oh, uniqueness, and no, but it's like, bro, the more I study and the more broadly I study, the more I'm like, these guys would maybe not the whole shaft, but the tips were touching. And I gotta say, like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So it's that thing of like, religions. All religions are precious beads strung on the necklace of divinity. I'm just interested in the thread, in the string. And it's because there does seem to be something operational, something esoteric, and then people get all up in arms and like, oh yeah, but, and they get all Rene Guénon, and it's like, yeah, but can you separate the esoteric from the exoteric and this and that? And it's like, look, if I wanted to study Qigong, I don't need to dress like a Taoist. What's the like thing instrument they play? The clink ping? I can't pronounce it, but it's like, I don't need to learn to play that fucking instrument. I don't need to learn mahjong. Maybe some teacher has some way of teaching through music, but if I want to learn Qigong, I don't need to do that. You can just teach me the methods and cycling energy and awareness, and I can begin to awaken and process some things. You don't need to learn Chinese. So it's this thing of like, some perennialists get really hard line and then talk about hierarchies and exoteric and the esoteric, and it's like, I'm not that. But I'm not a pluralist either. there does seem to be something, the PPs seem to connect. So that's where I'm at. That's just where I'm at. Sophiology makes the mystery behind Mary so much more profound. Based. Obsessive denial of idols. Some decline to even portray the cross. Yeah, I know. That's just weird to me. It's like, it's almost like a form of materialism has fallen into their spirituality. And it's like anything that's a representation. And it's like, yeah, but representations are just representations. The cross is just a symbol that indicates to something greater, dog. Just come on. Mormon take the divine feminine to a whole new level by believing in the Heavenly Mother. Interesting. It's so Gnostic. It's so Gnostic. Any woman can become Mary. However, she must herself be immaculate. Maybe virgin is a title that we attain through initiation. Now we're talking about esoteric Christianity in the chat. Also, the God, when God floats above the waters, that which God saw in the reflection is Sophia. Oh, really? So I said that's silly, but that's interesting. That's very interesting. Have I read Oliphant Lawrence? Yo, what? Oliphant? This guy, Member of Parliament, South Africa. Uh-oh. British. This is the guy. Piccadilly. British intelligence agent. Christian mystic. Hello. Utopia. Bro. Esoteric writings. Baby. Thomas Lake Harris. Oh. 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 Okay. To answer your question, no, I haven't read him, but PP Big, that looked interesting. That looked interesting. What are your thoughts on hesychasm and philokalia and Eastern Orthodox mysticism? Yeah, it's a mystic path. I'm not a mystic. I respect it. I enjoyed a little bit of hesychasm that I read through once. Philokalia, I haven't read it. It's like 5 volumes, dog. But I find it weird because some people like Philokalia, it's got some real shit, but then I've heard some people who've gone through it being like, even the Philokalia is merely introduction, and there's even more profound. I'm like, Jesus, that's introduction. But nonetheless, I think it's cool. Still unpacking the etymology. There's so much to unpack. Oh yeah, you're my Gurdjieff guy now. Keep in contact. Scientific religion. Interesting. But no, I haven't. Wondering if you could expand on Tomberg's idea of magic as an esoteric art. What do you think he means? What do you think he means by that? Seems to contain things like praying. Yeah, because this comes to his idea of like, it's the esotericists are the aristocrats. The true aristocrats of the soul are the esotericists, who are also poets. And so it's this thing of like, and why poet? What is a poet? Because here's the thing, what is a poetry versus prose? It's a narrative, it's literature. But what is the impact that stories have in our lives? Stories are profound. We live for stories. Some people don't commit suicide because they're waiting for the next Marvel movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how profound stories are for them. It's like, and why are stories important? Stories broaden the ontological horizon of humanity. Without a story, you're just existing. You're just an instinctual animal. Animals just walk through the forest. Dante's dark forest. We're all in the dark forest. We're just going through life. And most people, they're like an animal. An animal walks through a forest. It comes upon food, it eats. It comes upon another animal like it, it mates. That's all they do. But other people come to a mountain. They awaken, or they want to awaken. And it's like they want to see what's beyond, because the forest blocks their vision. They can't see, they don't even know that there's a horizon that they can perhaps reach behind. And so poets, in the truest sense of the word, prose and poetry, narrative, novelists are able to pierce not just beyond the veil, but beyond the horizon. That's where we got to go. That's what an aristocrat of the soul does. Because, you know, we're all talking about the collapse, but no one talks about what happens after the collapse. Oh, we're all the world's ending. Cool. Strengthen yourself to withstand the apocalypse, and then become a man who stands amongst the ruins. And what are you going to do then? What is beyond the horizon? Only the poets can look into that tomorrow. And so when I read Tom Berg, that seems to be what he's kind of aiming towards. Those last chapters of Meditation and the Tarot, from 18 onwards, 18, he's starting to talk about the transmutation, the Elaine Vital, into this intuition, this just kind of knowing, almost Gnosticism. And then it's like this kind of living with that, the sun, the actual awakening, and then the full card is then being in the world as that person who's able to do that. And then, of course, the world itself, that new world. We live in this new world then. There seems to be something about that. And it's almost like he's saying it in a way that Nietzsche would say. The Superman is the person who can... Nietzsche, when he talked about the Superman, it's not the person who looks into the void and becomes nihilistic. It's the person who looks into the void and goes, you know what? I'm going to live an ascetic life anyway. And they sublimate their desires into the will to power, and they live an artistic life. That person who, despite knowing that, you know, I'm going to paint this picture, there are guys at my door and they're coming here to kill me, and they're going to burn all of my works, but I don't give a fuck. I'm going to complete my painting. You need to have that mentality. Oh, the world's ending. I'm going to play this piano while the world burns. It's like you need that mentality to look beyond the horizon, to create a new world. Anyway, that's how I would answer that question. I'm not sure if I answered it in the I'm sorry, Nulu. Study Gurdjieff. He synthesized everything. People say they synthesize everything. I'm like, he definitely had some crazy stuff. When I read Beelzebub's Tales, I was just so impressed, because it's almost like Hegel's theory of history with Aristotle in there, and then like he also has the subconscious. So there's also like Freud's understanding of the subconscious and this subconscious view of humanity. So there's like, and which then influences humanity, and then the things that happen in the world then influence the subconscious itself. So there's this almost like this subconscious river which directs history. There's a secret history that directs history, but the events of history affects the river, and then the river directs history itself. And it's like, And he has his history, then his cosmology, and his cosmology connects to his anthropology, and then the anthropology of what you are then informs the psychology, which then informs his practices, and his practices then reconnect and connect to show how the microcosm connects to the macrocosm, the cosmology and the psychology connect. And it's like, oh my God, Gurdjieff. It's not that he synthesized everything. It's that he made a system that's complete. He has that's internally coherent. If you're able to cognize even a part of it, you just become impressed, man. It's just impressive. Because most people who create systems, it's just like, it's lacking. And bro wasn't slacking when he made his system. Bro made a system. Harry asks, hey bro, I know that you have dabbled in Raj Yoga, so I was wondering, what are your thoughts on Sankhya and things like Parusa and Buddhi? So I'm not going to like be ultra well versed in this because I'm like familiar with the language, but it's like the Parusa and the Buddhi. So this is interesting. So the Parusa, as I understand it, this is like we're connecting to kind of things towards like Atman here. And then the Buddhi is the thing that actually discerns the world. The Buddhi is the thing that divides things, cuts things up. If you didn't have a Buddhi, you would look out and it would just be a blob. But the Buddhi is able to go, no, this thing here is green. And green is different from other colors. Therefore, green, and this thing's brown, and brown is different from other colors. And this green and this brown thing are connected. It's a tree. And it's like the Buddhi creates the categories. The Buddhi is the consciousness that's creating the world. So there is an objective world. I'm not saying I'm an idealist, but it's almost like the world and the object and the subject have a relationship, and there's a co-creation. We are creating the world, almost deriving it out of this chaos. The act of doing that requires the Buddhi, and also a narrative. There needs to be a logos. There's some kind of logos that informs the categories, or maybe the categories are derived from the logos. And now I'm just flipping back to Western terminology. But the Buddhi is that part, the consciousness that basically differentiates, and because it's able to differentiate, it's able to make the categories and then make the building blocks, and then order kind of arises from that. That's why when people try to put like the Buddhi and the Atman on like the Kabbalah, they always put like the Buddhi where, what is it, Geburah is, on the pillar of severity. Because it's like, it's not like, oh, everything's one. It's like, no, these things are different. It's like severe. It's making cuts and it's making distinctions. So the Buddhi is important in that sense. But when we say something is something, we're saying it's not this other thing, and we're cutting things out. We're filtering things out. And this is where the esoteric comes in. This is where it's like some things are filtered and we no longer perceive them. And it may be that we no longer perceive them because they're not useful to us as we are. But it also becomes arbitrary. That what in us decides what's useful or not. It's not actually something in us. It's actually our culture. It's actually something to do with the like kind of cult, the civilization. This is why different civilizations are literally different worlds. And so because of our civilization and because of materialism, things that are important have actually been filtered and exist in this dark space, this nominal world. So we live in a world of phenomena, but we filter things arbitrarily into the world of noumena. And the whole kind of act of esotericism is trying to quiet the Buddhi down. Like, girl, Buddhi, girl, take a rest. Shh. And you're trying to let that loosen. That's why it's just like some of the practices of meditation are just like, just let it sit. Just sit there. Just allow it to sit. Do not influence it. Do not put things in and do not like react to it. Just let it sit. Just let it be there. Don't let the Buddhi go wild. Just let it sit. And it's like you're trying to loosen the activity of the Buddhi because it's continuously evaluating. This is good. This is bad. This is black. This is white. It's like, bro, just let it go. Let it go. You're letting the Buddhi kind of loosen that. And this is meditation. And in doing that, there's a chance that something that's normally filtered actually strikes you and then is represented in a specific way. And this is where we start to get into like the esotericism, and you start saying flashes in meditation of certain things. And it's like, oh, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's my definition. That's how I see these things. I'm not sure if you wanted something more specific. Every syllable is an etymological borrowing from one language or another. Gurji Burji, the The words themselves knit together. As such, there is more data in unpacking the etymology and comparing it to the next. I agree. He made a meta language. He wrote a meta history. I agree. He's based. Yeah. And that's it. The work is lonely. If you want to be a god, you have to bracket everything else out of the way until it's just you, all of your desires, all of your impulses, all of your memories, bracket everything. And then it's just you standing on your religion, your assumptions, even science itself, which you must bracket everything until you're just standing alone. Aesiri Turasnian likely has no meaning nor etymology, typical Gurdjieff. Yeah. Richard Handler used to try to outdo his patients. What? Marzinski, sorry. He's the Oh, thank you. Thank you. Everyone look up Jerry Marinsky. That guy has some crazy stuff to say about psychic parasites and demons and psychology. Get on it. Get on it. It's Christ consciousness. Demons, being psychic parasites with structure and reason, is ominously boarding the SCP. Yes. Yes. Sidney Rigdon. Is that a guy? Were allegedly lovers when Smith died. Bring him a young brushed. Oh my God. Greetings. Hello, T-Rex. Long time no see. Mm-hmm. If the world is a chorus, then wouldn't that make India the brown nose? Come on, man. Come on, man. See it. Tau be or tau not to be? That is the question. Is it though? Being park dog duty. Dog, Old English, wound, scar. TK placeholder used in newsprint, meaning to come later. Par Latin, equal in value, being equal in value towards coming wounds. That's interesting. Oh, that's sexy, man. You gotta do you have a site where you put these? You got a YouTube channel? Wood and Wandco. You gotta make these. You gotta tell more people about these. These are sexy. These are sexy. Making me rock hard. Now, if ethnogens are not the work, does the use of binaural beats gateway also classify as not the work? This is different. Way different, actually. Way different. Ethnogens are literally, quote unquote, just giving you an experience. With binaural beats, you still need a technique. That's like saying binaural beats is cheating is like saying doing mirror scrying with a mirror is cheating. You should just close your eyes and empty your mind, bro. Why aren't you emptying your mind and using the mirror of your mind? It's no. You use an outward object. You can use outward objects to help you kind of develop the quality and skill before you get rid of the object on the outside. That's how I would class binaural beats. Binaural beats are just an object on the outside, which you then use alongside a technique. Because they're not be all and end all. It's not like you just give binaural beats to everyone and then everyone just astral projects. Whoa! Virgil, the unreliable narrator, the one who lies to himself, refuses to repent and thus refuses to enter paradise. Hey man, Virgil was I was sad when Virgil disappeared. I kept on going backwards and forwards, being like, what? When did he go? My boy. I was as sad as Dante when Virgil disappears. Bruh. Yes. Is it possible to construct our own firmament references within ourselves? Sure. You aren't meant to be there forever. Beware. Lust is the final guard at the doors of the Garden of Eden. The lust part in Purgatory had one of the best lines, because it's like this fiery place where all the beings are being burnt by having their lust burnt away. Dante has to pass through that, so he has to pass through the fires, and he's such a little pussy boy. And he keeps fainting all the way, and he's just like, oh, I don't want, and he doesn't want to go into the fires. And so Virgil on the other side of the fires is just like, I'll go first, and he still doesn't want to go. And it's like Virgil's like, oh my God, come on. And so Virgil's just like, oh, I can hear Beatrice. She's on the other side. She's calling to you. And Dante's like, hello, just like simp maxes and jumps into the fire. And then there's my favorite line is he says something like, as soon as I touched the flames, I would have gladly jumped into a bathtub filled with molten glass to cool off. I'm like, that's fantastic prose. Like that, because it's like, and that's a negation. He, instead of just saying it was really hot, bro, I felt like my skin was being burnt off. It's like, no, I would have jumped into a bath of molten glass to cool off. By using a negation, he indicates to a place farther than you could ever go by trying to describe how hot something is. I was like, that is a fantastic use of prose. Fantastic writing. I loved it. And everyone's, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to read the Divine Comedy. Unlike a lot of other classics in literature, because it's written in cantos, some of those cantos are short as. And they're easier to read than you'd think. Even in the Inferno, it's pretty much easy all the way through until I think like Canto 25 is really fucking weird. Canto 25 is the only one that's weird. Canto 25 is the sphere of the thieves, and everyone in that sphere is like getting snakes up their butt, and then they explode, and then it's like, oh, there's snakes in my head, but then the hands turn into snakes and bite them, and it's really fucking weird, and it's not at all well described. What like I know, just like. Everyone who doesn't get it, just like go and like pull the Inferno off your like Divine Comedy off your friggin' bookshelf and just open to Canto 25 and give it a read. It's a bit weird. Other than Canto 25, it's actually a super easy read. And a lot of the other stuff is easy to read as well. And they can be quite short. Just read it. And Purgatory is easy. It's breeze, it's fun. You go through it, you have a good time, you learn some esoteric stuff, and then you get to the Heavenly Paradise and it's like, whoa, that's when things get a little more symbolic. Same idea in many Buddhist hells. They suck for a long time, but not literally forever. I don't like Osho or Sadhguru. I think they're a little more on the pee-pee-poo-poo side. And Krishnamurti, he's fine, but he commits the cardinal sin of not realizing what a system is supposed to do. And he's someone that's already has a little bit of development, but functionally what he does is he ascends up a level, looks back and pulls up the ladder and says, now you just need to do this, bro. Just unprogram your mind. Just sit in silence, bro. And it's like, no one ever came out of his movements. He starts to say things that are profound, that, you know, mimic or even go in the same direction as, say, some parts of Taoism and Zen Buddhism. But because he's so against gurus and teacher worship and institutions, he doesn't really give his followers anything that they can kind of do. So he's, in my opinion, limited to kindergarten. But nonetheless, he's fucking excellent when you hear him. How should I handle the fact that people who have or ever had Facebook or Instagram are clones and not real people, but still demand the same respect as real humans? I mean, look, you should treat everyone as if they're real until they prove that they're fake. And then once they prove that they're fake, never respect them ever again. And be polite with them after that. But they don't need your respect. They don't want it, and they don't deserve it. What's more important, engine or map? Oh, the age-old debate. Here's the thing. Some people need to know what's ahead of them, or else they just can't commit. For those people, they probably need to learn some map. Other people, wall of text fatigue. I just need to do something, man. I just need help, man. Just give them some engine. Just give them some engine. And then directs them and tweak certain things as they go along and start to get them more interested in map as they go along. It's a tendency dependent on the person. Both sides have their problems. If you're only engine, there's a high chance you're smashing into a wall and not going anywhere. And if you're all map, there's a high chance you haven't gone anywhere, and you're just internalizing the map and believing attainment is merely internalizing the intricacies of a map. Personally, I think there's a deep connection between Gurdjieff's false way, Eastern Orthodoxy, monasticism, pre-Roman Catholic Christianity. Rodnovery, really? Through the Slavic Aryan Vedas. That's an interesting take. Gurdjieff had some interesting connections with Christianity, because he would like do stuff. There's stories of him being like slandering Jesus, and then they need to say good, like they're saying sayonara to a student or something because they need to like they got flying to another country, and he'll bless them by using the cross on their forehead. Or like I think after one of his car crashes, no, they were taking him to the hospital. He demanded that they take him by a church, and they parked at the front of the church, and they said Gurdjieff just sat in the car looking at the church for over an hour, just looking in silence. And then they drove to the hospital. And there'd be things like Gurdjieff giving a teaching on the importance of Easter. But then while all of his students were in Fontainebleau in Paris, he's like, I forbid any of you from going to the mass. And, when you hear a story about Gurdjieff's life, he had a very cantankerous and like he had absolute malice and despised priests. He hated that's in, what is it, Meetings of Remarkable Men? He has that line. It's like, you want to lose your faith, become friends with a priest. It's like, he has some weird conflict with the church, but within Christianity, he still sees remnants of initiation. So he has a relationship, and in, being a Greek Armenian boy, that's what he was raised with. So he has a weird, strained relationship with Christianity. But at the same time, he sees that there are elements of initiation that still exist in it, that are still living within it. Not that the tradition is living, but there are elements in it that are living. Scouse, thank you for another $5. What advice would you give to someone who felt that they were under magical attack, perhaps demonic? Ooh, we're asking for help. If you're under a magic attack from another human, there are steps you can take. Dion Fortune's book on psychic self-defense outlines some of them. There are different things you can kind of do, different defenses you can do. If you're under attack by a demon, bruh. And this is where I'm like, I don't see myself as a Christian, but you just Lord's Prayer, baby. They're doing things like the Lord's Prayer, using prayers like, and imagining the spheres of the Kabbalah, and understanding that lines of the prayer actually correspond to different spheres. On earth as in heaven, your will, Tippereth, may it be on earth as in heaven. Heaven, Keter, earth, Malkuth, it connects the spheres of the Kabbalah. Things like that are probably, I would say, more appropriate. Say it in Latin, make it more potent. But in the end, I would say strengthening yourself energetically also makes you just resistant to that kind of shit. Because once you get to a certain, once the lower Dantian is filled and you're starting to work with higher things, it's like some freaking Wiccan girl on TikTok cursing you ain't gonna do jack shit. TBH. Also work with angels. If you don't like demons, whip out some Eliphas Levi. Do the Conjuration of the Seven. Conjuration of 4 and 7 that Eliphas Levi teach. Those are the conjurations I use. If you don't like the Lord's Prayer, and because you're not into the Christianity stuff, it's a little too cringe. Whip out some Eliphas Levi, get the Conj 4 and the Conj 7 going. Conjuration of the 4 is the conjuration of the elements. Conjuration of the 7 conjures the angels and demons. Because conjure doesn't mean to bring forth. Conjure means command. So you ask the angels to command the demons to run away. So work with angels. Do the planetary intelligences, work with them each day of the week, just for a while. Your network is your net worth. And the people you hang out with, you gain things energetically from them. So if you work energetically with gods, or in this case, angels, the 7 angels of the days of the week, you can totally touch tips. And the touching of the tips energetically changes you. So that's a top-down approach. The bottom-up would be doing the energetic practices to strengthen the lower, so it just demons can't do shit, or work with the higher and bring the higher down so that you got your boys to take out those demonic entities. Those are the two things. Those are the two main ways. Shamanism is like Paracelsus working in the words, but naked and painted in sigils, high on plant medicines of all kinds. What? No. Good voice acting. Thank you. Tons of Freemasonry and Mormonism. Yes. Brotato. What are these live stream hours? Sorry, I recorded a video with Ike Baker this morning on the usual time because that was the only time he could do. So, and we haven't done a Q&A in ages. So I was just like, you know what? I'll set up, just do this weird Q&A. No, you have a Q&A to chew on throughout the week. And then we can get back to business. Following Sunday or Saturday for you guys. Usual time, going through some manly PP. You can thank Rudolf Steiner for that reference of Lawrence Oliphant. Okay, interesting. All I have are selected writings of the Philokalia. Okay. Yeah, that's what I say about most of my books. The Aristocats. Is that the one where the DVD cover is just like a pug and it's about that joke? It's just different comedians talking about that one joke. I've seen that. That's a very good documentary. Adamu, thank you for the £5. Would you be interested in interviewing a mystic, though? How would you know he's legit? Also, you missed my cringe TG question. What? Oh, let me see. I think because I went past a lot of the replies to other questions. Are archons real? Curious to know your thoughts on AI use in the occult community. I think AI is cringe. The problem with AI, I'm sorry, I'm not actually answering your question, Adam. What was your question? Oh, am I interested in interviewing a mystic? Sure. I'll interview anyone. Bring me the interviews. Spray me with your knowledge. A very interesting answer to the magic question. Okay. Also, AI. Yeah, AI, gay and fake. Because what's the problem really with AI? What's the problem with clankers? When humans make mistakes, it's kind of obvious. When computers make mistakes, everyone's like, oh, this isn't a mistake. And that's the fucking problem. People who rely on the computers too much, you end up with the movie Brazil, where a fucking fly gets in the computer, makes a single error, and then catastrophic events take place, and no one wants to take accountability because we're always perfect and we make no mistakes. It's like you hear about businesses being like, we have fired all of our staff and we just have automated everything with Claude. And then you see people, or like with ChatGPT, and then you see those people online who are just like, hey, ChatGPT, my friend gave me this joke cup. It's a cup with a sealed top and an opened bottom. How do I drink out of this cup? And then the ChatGPT, and you get the camera out and you show it to ChatGPT, and it's like, oh, I see. It is a joke cup. Yeah, I'm sorry. There's no way to drink out of it. And it can't understand that it's just a cup you've turned upside down. Or I saw one was a girl the other day, was just like, hey, Claude, is it safe to drink from this joke bottle? And she had a bottle of bleach. And it's like, oh, it's a joke bottle. It's fun. Yeah, you can drink from that. Because she called it a joke bottle. And that forced it to commit to the category. And so it acted as if the category is true. And it's just like, dog, it's so fucking retarded. When it first came out, people were talking about AI and intelligence, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. Maybe there is some kind of pan-psychic intelligence that's coming through AI. Now I'm just kind of like, nah, AI is retarded. I think what is it, the Chinese room theory, if everyone knows what that is? I'm just like, yeah, it's really retarded, and people using AI to think for them, I don't respect them at all. Total clanker death. It's the ultimate goal of reading so many esoteric books and practicing. And practicing would be to survive death. When I die, I will still remain. His system is not only complete, it's meta-complete. It is beyond complete. It is mostly empty container he has given us. We have to fill the world. Yeah, that's why I see his books as three forces: affirming, denying, reconciling. You have Beelzebubs, you have meetings, and then you have life is only real when I am it, but it's unfinished. The reconciling force. We are the completing note. That's why the tales center around world creation and world maintenance. No citizen has the right to be an amateur in the matter of physical training. Based. Greeks knew the mind and body were one. Socrates was a dashing young soldier. I don't know if he was ever dashing in his Anabasis days, and Plato, the wide one, was considered a decorated wrestler. Yes. Joe Rogan of his time. And that's why sports was created, to turn that into a vicarious process, so people are more pliable for molding into unholy hierarchies. Interesting. Alas, the great yogis do as well. People just talking. Why is a carnivore diet considered a distraction or whatever to some occult paths? Really? I think maybe because it's like the animal atoms or something, just make you more virile, and you got to like cope with that. But I kind of think it's fine. I don't see any problem whatsoever. I think people who are like, you need to do a vegan diet to awaken your clairvoyance, I think they're kind of more cringe in a sense. I mean, maybe there's something about like it blocking up, maybe blocking some things, but in another sense, it's like, maybe for subtler things, meat diets will kind of fuck you up. But for energetic work, the meat diet's just going to convert to energy, and then you're just going to transmute the vril, and it's going to help fill your fucking dantian or whatever, or open your nadis. It should be fine. It should be fine. No channel, just spreading the good word. Based. You gotta compile this stuff. Start a blog. Start a Substack with all of the definitions, all of the breakdowns. That would be sick. That'd be sick. Gurdjieff meta language Substack. Do it, son. Do it. Isn't English mathematical Hebrew reverse engineered? No. The deep end of the ocean. Only just tuned in. I practice gateway process regularly. Based. What frequencies of binaural beats? I don't know. For scrying or astral projection, more methods. I would say of it methods. For scrying, get a mirror, dog. Get a mirror. Get some Golden Dawn scrying techniques. Just start. Just do it. Exactly. Dante, Infinity Plus One. Journey through the Inferno was quite harrowing for me, to be honest. I wept many times. Oh, okay. I swear there were some bits in the Inferno that were actually comedy. I know the genre is... Back in the day, they only had two genres, comedy and tragedy. So the reason why Dante's comedy is called a commedia is back in the day, tragedy and comedy. If something was a tragedy, it had a sad ending. If something was a comedy, it had a happy ending. Because Dante, at the end, Dante like is reunited with Beatrice and sees God, he has a happy ending. Therefore, it's a comedy. That's why it's called that. So it's not that it's funny, but I swear to God, there are some bits that actually read like a comedy. Like in the Inferno, I think it's the Minotaur part where he meets the Minotaur. The scene where him and Virgil are like running away from the Minotaur, you can hear the Bumblebee music, the Benny Hinn, like you can hear it. It almost sounds like a Scooby-Doo skedaddle out of there. It's almost funny. And there's like another part in where it's like in the eighth sphere gets separated into different ditches, and when they're going through the ditches, they start getting they burn through the witches in the back of Virgil's Dracula. No. Like Dante is like, oh, and like he jumps into Virgil's like like a cartoon, like and jumps, and Virgil catches him like Princess carries him like running through the ditches. There are bits that like read like comedy. I don't know if he meant it like that or if it was supposed to be like that back then, but from a modern perspective, I genuinely think there are some bits in the Inferno which are hella funny. Actually, if you think about it, there's some bits which are epic and cool. One of my favorite bits in the Inferno is when they come to the city of Dis in the 5th layer, and the doors are closed, and Virgil's like, I'm here by divine decree, and like the demons at the gates are just like, nah. And Virgil's like, okay, and they do a prayer. Virgil and Dante stand aside and they do a prayer, and you just hear this and a freaking angel comes down from heaven. And the best thing about it is it's not Jesus, it's not Michael, it's some unnamed angel, not an archangel, just a random angel just comes down, and as he like enters the room, it's like a Giga Chad, like just walking slowly in, and just like comes, just flicks the door open, and all the demons like, oh shit, and just run away. And it's just the greatest description of quality versus quantity. Like just one angel just Giga Chatted, just came in like, I'm busy, don't call me again. Just blows the doors open like an anime and just like, I'm out, just leaves. I found that bit, when that bit happened, I was like, this is fucking cool. I was like super impressed. Giga Chad music started playing when I was reading that. And there are other bits that are comical. And then there are some bits which are profound, definitely. They're profound and you're like, oof. Especially like some of the bits with the like brothers and things. And you're kind of like, oh, that hits you. That hits you, for sure, for sure. But yeah, great read. Divine Comedy, actually good read. And way easier than people would think. Everyone, read Divine Comedy. In Pratchett's books, Ronnie Soak had a sword that was so cold that it met heat coming from the other way and took on aspects of its own. What? Terry Pratchett was a Gemini, and I have no time for his books. Yes. I'm kidding. I'm sure he was good. I haven't actually read any Terry Pratchett at all. I missed out as a kid. He's very clever. I'm sure he's very clever. Donald Trump just turned 80 years old today, June 14th. He's definitely some kind of magician. Okay. If you believe curses don't work, then blessings can't work. Words are either powerful or they mean crap. Okay. Donald Trump has the Holy Grail confirmed. The rosary is kind of like a spiritual AK-47. Everyone's heard of it. Anyone can use it, and it's powerful. That's pretty based. That is a based take. This is the base take of the night. Everyone, get them rosaries out. Demon comes up to you, whip out the rosaries and use them as anal beads. Just bam! Start fisting. I stopped using anything that enslaved angels, and I can't believe I just said that. I thought it was so blasphemous. I'm sorry. Sorry. I stopped using anything that enslaved angels and demons. I don't think you're enslaving angels, bro. Not gonna lie. Interesting that Buddhists also have a form of rosary beads. Yeah. It is interesting. Isn't it? If you're upset over boomers in power, well, the next president, probably J.D. Vance. I don't know. Is it, though? They're kind of pushing him out. I just want Mummy Tulsi. I would like Mummy Tulsi to be the next president of the United States. Yes. Not 80-year-old. Truth nuke. Aimlessness is one of the greatest source of misery and malice. Yes. Another Gurge of Tidbit dropped here for the very first time. Guess who is sitting in his chair? What? And guess who Gornahor Hahak from the Raven planet is? From the planet Saturn with an angel voice? What? Huh? I heard someone say like Gornahor Hahak is supposed to be Nikola Tesla. And I'm like, because Gurdjieff, I don't think he met him, but he definitely is around the same time and contemporary. And Gurdjieff was also kind of cutting edge. So he would have been interested. And those, world fairs and stuff, it makes me think if Gurdjieff would have known about him. And he just made him a character. But then I'm kind of like, Gonoha Hahak is Beelzebub's essence friend. And I'm like, did he meet? Is that? Anyway. China's final theory. Uncle Z, save us from the modern world. I saw something recently about China's night markets. And it's like China's night markets produce like over billions of dollars of revenue a year. And it's like, what are these night markets? And it's just, people just have night stalls. And people go out at night and their kids play on the street at night. And it's like, it's all possible because they have like the harshest military police force. And I'm like, damn, I miss night markets. But if, yeah, it's true. If there's too much crime, yeah. The sign that China has night markets just kind of shows something is blossoming. What draws people to the esoteric? I mean, desire for power, sure. Insanity, sure. Schizophrenia, sure. In the end, it'll be different for different people, different tendencies. Some people, love of the guru. Some people, love of truth. Some people, they just know there's something wrong in the world. Other people, it's a shock. A person dies in their life. They never thought of spirituality once, and then their dad dies. And they ask the question, what happens after death? Other people have been asking that question every day of their entire lives. Even when they're a kid, they were like, but what happens? But what happens? And none of the answers they got ever satisfied them. Most Chinese theories really end well, historically speaking, especially for the Chinese people themselves. Yeah, that's the other thing. It's not like China's a paradise. See it. My lib yuppie relatives use AI to make music, and one's using it to write a book. Lamal boomers have mad. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Tragedy. Nulu, that is why it is our duty to shed light on what is in the dark. Meat eaters are death conscious, they say. Huh? No. What do you think of Christians practicing chaos magic? Go for it. Go for it. Have you looked into Langens? No. There's too many things to look into, dog. It's basically mathematical German idealism. That's interesting. That's cool. Sounds cool. Any opinions on carnivore diets? Sounds cool. Eat the organs. People who do carnivore diet and are just like, I eat burgers without the bun, like, burger patties with cheese. That's my carnivore diet. Bruh. Eat organs. That's where the magic is. My brother went on carnivore for a month and it did the opposite, plunging him up the toilet. Plugging him up the toilet looks like it was a witch's cauldron. So here's the other thing. I hear the opposite for people who go on the carnivore diet and works amazing and they start to shit properly and things like that. But that's why I think there are some people who have this copium with a carnivore diet. It's like, yeah, carnivore diet. And then they just want cheese and fucking the burger patty kind of thing. I feel like they're not doing it right, or they just eat the steaks and the whole thing with the fatty bits. It's like, yeah, sure, you got to eat the fatty bits. If it's too lean, the fat is what has that little micro picograms of like the B12 and the vitamin C. But other than that, just eat the organs. People sleep on organ meat. And I know offal and livers and kidneys taste weird. But here's the thing. You got to try cow tongue. You got to try heart. You got to try sweetbreads. Oh, sweetbreads are amazing. Dog. Tripe. Mwah. It's fantastic. Dante was a comedic genius insofar as subtlety is concerned. Yes. Asher Redworld. Didn't Gurdjieff say abstaining from meat while living with meat eaters is detrimental because it causes the cessation of willpower? Yeah, there was a bit where he says it is correct to not eat meat if you're a monk, but if you live in a society and you try to not eat meat, it actually aggravates certain parts of your psychology, which I was like, oh my God, Gurdjieff predicted douchey vegans. Oh my God. The theater still uses twin masks of comedy and tragedy to this day. Yes. See it. He likely has bile acid malabsorption, high fat intake can trigger it. Oh, that's interesting. Bile acid malabsorption. Does that mean he needs to like liver flush? Has your brother done a like one of those liver flushes to get the like kidney stone, or was it the liver stones out? If you want to change your diet, you need to purge your gut. Bro didn't want to say the N-bomb. Nah, not on YouTube or Facebook. This is streaming to Facebook as well, by the way. Where do you sources? Ooh, sorry, did I lag there for a second? Tulsi, aka Holy Basil. All drug taking is essentially blah blah blah. Bro thinks sorcery isn't heretical. Christians did magic, dog. Christian occultism is real. Is real. Deal with it. It's very Middle Eastern to get organs. I think a lot of Asian butchers do organs as well. I swear to God, dog, if you see ox tongue or cow tongue, try it out. Just boil it up. Get the salt. It's a crazy texture. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Waste not, want not. Oh, howdy. Yo, my boy. We gotta get online. It's past Easter now. I'm like super fucking busy, but we should totally do a little live stream. We should dual stream. What is it? StreamYard on what is it? Mine and your channels. I totally still want to just like talk about freaking Lord of Mysteries with you. Have you read the novels yet, or you just saving yourself for the anime? And maybe we should do some like esoteric anime tier list. That'd be funny. Chicken hearts and liver is a great Middle Eastern dish. Solarion. The Pope, yeah. Was it Pope Honoris? Pope Sylvester II was also pretty esoteric. Oh! Where are you up to? Where are you up to? Tell me. Are you up to, what is it? I guess, did you just start halfway through, or did you like start at the beginning? Because I know there's a lot of stuff missed in the early comics, but you can potentially watch the anime and then just skip straight to Sherlock Moriarty, the world's best detective. Oh man, 2.5 hours, dog. I'm gonna have to wrap this up soon, guys. Oh, can you expand on Christian occultism? In a Christian lens, there might be... Yeah, so here's the thing. Modern Christianity ain't what you think it is. Christians would... Because here's the thing. If you exorcise a demon, what does that mean? Yeah, it means you can command a demon. If you can command a demon to leave someone's body, it would make sense that you could potentially also command a demon to make you find buried treasure. You can command a demon to do your housework. And as much as Christians hate to admit it, priests, and these also kind of like minor priests, monks, there was a huge necromantic underground. And then you have like big boys all justifying it, like freaking Albertus Magnus. Heinrich Agrippa is 100% Christian. He's more pious than most Christian. Heinrich Agrippa has more piety in his pinky toe than most Christians living nowadays do in their entire bodies. So you read their stuff and it's like purification to summon angels, and then you command the demons. It's your right as a Christian to command demons, to torture demons and get, knowledge out of them. It's crazy perspective. But boy, did that used to be a perspective. It wasn't definitely people were debating and being like, hold on a sec, hold on, you shouldn't be doing this. Yeah, there were people who were like, bro, you shouldn't be doing this. But there were Christians who were practicing occultism. For sure. And there's fundamentally, Heinrich Agrippa, Albertus Magnus, you can look at all of those guys and be like, this is a Christian occult tradition. Started from beginning just a little bit ago, so almost starting a second. Because also what's missed is a lot of those tarot club conversations, which would be good to get into. Oh baby, just volume currently restarted working on finishing the anime. Says I haven't made videos from Oh Baby. I'm so excited for the Oh Baby. So new Lord of Mysteries episode in this month. Yeah, they're doing some oh, hello. Go grab lunch. Bro, Solarion, thank you for the 60 Dubai dollars. This is like the time someone like donated like 20 Indian dollars to me, and I was like, oh thanks, and then it like converted to like 0.1 USD. And I summoned Python to do my laundry. Is that you want me to do a multi-part series on the tarot? Thank you for the shekels. Oh, is that literally shekels? Dog, that's amazing. Thank you for the 60 shekels, bro. For being almost entirely non-Christian, they know all the symbols language. Yes, they do. Bro, we got to touch peepees. I kind of, although it would be good if you read some of the like more of the light novel, because I want to like I don't want to spoil it, but at the same time I want to be like, let's talk about the fourth epoch. Oh man, I actually kind of want to reread Lord of Mysteries. Not gonna lie, because there's in the Sherlock Moriarty chapters, there's some balls deep lore dropping, but because it's really early in the story. It's like, and you don't have your mind wrapped around the power system. A lot of the stuff that happens in the fourth epoch, you're like, wait, what's going on? Huh? $20. Oh, thank you for the 20, dog. That's awesome. Why are there groups of men who gather in windowless buildings at night? Sex, gay sex. A lot of great Western esotericism and Japanese anime. I'm not sure if they read it in English, Greek, or Japanese, but they go deep. Yeah, when they go deep, they go balls deep. And it's really cool to see them carrying the West. How can modern man reconcile praising the sun and gooning to the moon? That's the work. Anyway, guys. From Tel Aviv with love. I think I gotta start signing off now. 2.5 hours. This was a big one, boys. This was a big one. Thank you, everyone, for coming, for joining. Thank you, everyone on the Facebook. Everyone in the chat, say hi to YouTube. And yeah, I'll see y'all next week for some more Manly PP. And more content to come. Life kind of crazy at the moment, but I'll try to keep churning stuff out. I notice you use patchouli knowledge in your thumbnails. What the hell? Sometimes, bruh, don't get me started. Thank you all. I'll be seeing y'all later. Bye-bye.